Welcome back to episode 10 of Defeating Weekly. I'm your host, Craig Olson, author of Defeating the Unbeatable. Last week, we talked about learning struggles, and I want you to take a moment just to kind of reflect on any situations you had in this past week with learning and kind of how it went. Being a teacher, I had some teaching experiences that were very interesting this past week. I had some students that were really struggling with the concept, and I had to stop and realize that the way I thought was working best to teach them wasn't fitting their learning styles. So I had to go back and change my approach, and it became more successful. This week, we are going to be discussing the concept of the idea of not taking ourselves too seriously and having the ability to be able to laugh at ourselves at times in a positive way. Growing up, for me, this was very difficult. I really struggled with having times where I took myself way too seriously. I felt like I had to be the best. And in order to be the best, you couldn't make mistakes. And when I would make a mistake, I'd be really hard on myself. I know we're always our hardest critics, but there's times where it becomes too much and can be overbearing for us. So really taking a look at that. So when we do this, it makes it harder to learn from the experience and fix the problem. There's been times where I can't seem to figure something out that I become more and more frustrated, more and more agitated. My wife will attest to this. And really, it doesn't help me in these situations. However, if I take just a few minutes to reset, generally speaking, the task becomes way easier. I see where I was making my mistake. I'm able to fix it and move forward. In the same way, when I make a silly mistake, I have a choice. I can choose whether I want to be frustrated with the situation or laugh it off, realize, it was silly. I'm good. I can move forward. Many of us do feel like we have to be perfect in order to be the person who we're supposed to be. And the keyword there is who we think we're supposed to be. Who chooses that? That's something we really need to consider is, am I the driving choice of who I'm going to be, or am I allowing other people to make those decisions for me? Another topic that maybe we'll have to get into in the next few weeks. When in fact, nobody can be perfect, though. None of us can be perfect. We should strive for it, but we will fall short. So instead of focusing on failing, get back up, brush yourself off, try again. It's okay to fail. As long as you keep pushing yourself, you are going to get better. Being able to laugh at yourself shows that you feel comfortable with who you are. This is something that many of us struggle with. We all struggle with this at different times in our lives, generally speaking. We're not sure who we truly are, and it makes it difficult to laugh at us when we don't know who we are. So really digging in to find out who we are is crucial. So we want to take some time to deeply look at who we are and who we want to be. If there's changes that need to be made, be honest with yourself. And if that's what you're wanting to do, work on it. See if you can change it. All right. So a couple of quick takeaways from this week's episode is the idea of looking back over a problem you had this past week and how hard you were on yourself. What could have you have done differently to have allowed that situation to have been better, so that in the future, when you have a similar situation, you can be better prepared and not be as hard on yourself if you made a mistake. And then I have a challenge for you this week. I challenge you to reflect on who you are and areas you are the hardest on yourself, whether it's with family and friends or your job or a hobby or whatever it might be. Think about where you're hardest on yourself, or as a parent, that's something that some of us are really could be a struggle for us. I want you to recognize those areas and make a plan of how you can be less harsh to yourself. We're all doing the best we can. So don't be as hard on yourself as you currently maybe are. It's not helping you. Okay. All it does is when you're super hard on yourself, it makes it more difficult to complete those tasks that you're trying to get better at and complete. So become less harsh on yourself, give yourself some grace, laugh at yourself if you have to at times, but do what you can to be the best you can.